Вітаємо вас на українській телемережі «Контакт». Мене звати Юстина Левкович і я рада, що проведу з вами наступну годину. Сьогоднішню передачу представляємо пам'яті нашого друга і довголітнього ведучого сторінки Center Stage Майкл Куррі, який відійшов у вічність 31 березня цього року. Михайло працював на «Контакті» від 1 жовтня 1994 року, майже 17 років. І весь той час Михайло представляв на програмі найкращі спектаклі, моменти і персонажі українського культурного життя в Канаді і Україні. Тому сьогодні наш привілей разом із ближчими приятелями і співробітниками Михайла представити вам програму в честь і пам'ять нашого друга. Зараз розкажемо про життєвий шлях нашого друга і довголітнього ведучого сторінки Center Stage Майкл Куррі, який відійшов у вічність 31 жовтня цього року.
Center Stage is brought to you by Canada's National Ukrainian Festival, July 29th, 30th and 31st in Dauphin, Manitoba.
Michael Kuri will always be remembered for that great smile of his kindness, musicality, and everything he has done for the Ukrainian community. He was most recognizable as the host of Center Stage, a segment about the arts that he developed after joining Kontakt in 1994.
Welcome to Center Stage. I'm Mykhailo Kuri. Join me today for my exclusive interview, Part 2, with Pavlo Zibrov from Kyiv. Welcome to Springfest 95, a celebration of fun, food, entertainment, and above all, our Ukrainian heritage.
Hi, welcome to Center Stage. I'm Mykhailo Kuri. The world of Ukrainian cinema is on the move.
But let's go back further in time and learn a little bit more about Michael James Kuri, who he was. Michael was born on February 1st, 1954, the second child of Robert and Martha Kuri. He started taking piano at the age of 7, but it may surprise you that he actually hated practicing at first. It was his mom who encouraged him to just keep going. And it's a good thing she did, because it turns out he had a natural musical ability. It became clear just how musically talented he was when he was awarded the gold medal for grade 10 piano from the Royal Conservatory of Music, ranked first among all those competing. And this was when he was still a teenager. Well, in his early 20s, Michael got the opportunity to study music in Ukraine, including bass at the Music Conservatory in Kyiv. When he arrived in Ukraine, he didn't know much of the language, but he learned quickly and really fell in love with the culture. He stayed in Ukraine for 3 years, and while he was there, he made strong friendships. One of his new friends was Ukraine's premier opera star, Zhenya Miroshnichenko. When Zhenya passed away in 2009, Michael spent hours and days putting together a tribute to her in a segment of Center Stage.
I first met her some 35 years ago when I was just 20 years of age. And for the last 35 years, I've been very proud to call her a close personal friend. And I was actually a member of her extended family.
He fell so much in love with Ukraine that he returned in the 90s every year. He reconnected with old friends from his student years and formed a relationship with the dance troupe Volyn. When he came back to Canada, Michael worked as a projectionist in a few movie houses, keeping with his love of the arts. In 1986, he joined the Toronto District School Board as a music instructor. He started sharing his talent and his love of music, and it was a job he held until his last days. Also in the late 80s, Michael formed a musical group called Troyanda, along with Orysia Taluk and Laura Prokopovich. Together, they made several recordings and traveled across Canada and Europe. Now, I got a chance recently to speak with Bill Hevereshchuk, who produced Troyanda's first album, about that time in Michael's life.
I met Michael in the spring of 1987 when Troyanda had just started, and I had the pleasure of working with them, rehearsing them, and producing their first album. And after that, that album did really well. They ended up going on tour of Eastern Canada. After that, I had my own band for a little while, and Michael was the keyboard player in that band. And we happened to work together for that finale show for the Volyn group from Ukraine when they were here in 2005. And, you know, we were always in touch. We shared common interests in Ukrainian art and culture. Producing Michael was actually, it was very easy because it's very professional, very prepared. What we did was we used to rehearse at one of the singers' houses, so when we arrived in the studio, we were able to do the whole album in 4 hours. But he was great to work with. He was always prepared, he was always on time. That first Troyanda album was a collection of some very well-known Ukrainian folk songs, and we tried to do a little twist on the arrangements, updating it and making it work for 2 voices and piano, and he was very open-minded and always willing to try something new. When you listen to him play, he could really express the feeling in the music, the highs and the lows, and it was emotional, for lack of a better word. I'll miss all of his phone calls, because sometimes he used to call even 3 times in one night. He would call me when he would get frustrated with things, but you know what, we used to call each other, we used to talk just about everything, you know, not just, some people call each other twice a year or whatever, but we used to just pick up the phone and just talk for a little while. So you know what, I'm going to miss those phone calls.
Michael's music made a big impression on a long list of people, and I spoke to another old friend of his on that topic, Catherine Samet, who met Michael more than 20 years ago when Troyanda played at the Spirit of Ukraine Gala in Hamilton, while Catherine also accompanied a cellist.
I've always admired his playing. He was a solid player, a passionate player, and a wonderful, wonderful teacher. Who inspired many, many students, and that was very evident at his memorial service. He was an inspiration, and his love of music and his passion was passed on to young students, that someday they will pass that on to perhaps their students. But he was larger than life, exuberant, creative, inspirational, and as a young student I could see that they would be totally enamored with him and be totally engaged in what he was teaching them. And by all means, I've heard that his student concerts were absolutely wonderful.
What will you remember most about Michael?
Well, to me, Michael was a very spiritual, exuberant, kind, supportive friend. And I feel privileged that in the last decade, he did become a very close personal and family friend. And we miss him dearly. And he is singing and performing with the Angels right now, but we all miss him.
Michael will also be remembered for all that he did for the Ukrainian community. Through his segment Center Stage, he helped a long list of amateur musicians get their name out, tell their stories, and share their music. He also volunteered a lot of his time to help various organizations across Toronto. Recently, Michael felt strongly about helping the St. Volodymyr Cultural Centre raise the money needed to build a new chapel, a project that is now almost complete. At a big fundraiser last year, the Blossom Ball, Michael sat down at the piano in front of a room full of the project's donors to share his talent. The Blossom Ball was held again this year, an event Michael was really looking forward to. I visited to speak with one of the organizers and an old friend about his contribution.
I have known Michael Curry for absolute years. He's been an incredible presence in our Ukrainian community, musically, as well as for the show Kontakt. My sister and Michael played together years ago, and Michael is was a very special individual who supported every event that we've had here at the Cultural Center and at the church, St. Volodymyr Cathedral. Michael is a rare talent of his gift to music, his gift to the community, and his gift to another human being. He had a heart, and he volunteered his time towards the Blossom Ball for our fundraising efforts, building the chapel at Soto Volodymyr. He played dinner music, and he had his fabulous black sequin Liberace jacket, a real character. He will be so missed.
Michael's love of music never died. He carried that love with him to every project he worked on, including the segment he created. And the segment Kontakt will now retire in his name, center stage.
Майкл Curry працював на «Контакті» ведучим сторінки Center Stage від 1 жовтня 1994 року. Майже 17 років і весь той час Михайло представляв на програмі найкращі спектаклі, моменти і персонажі українського культурного життя в Канаді і Україні. 31 березня цього року Майкл Curry відійшов у вічність. Тому сьогодні наш привілей представити вам програму в честь і пам'ять нашого колега, довгорічного ведучого сторінки Center Stage. Вкладаючи в цю працю всю свою душу і глибоку любов до української музики, пісні і танцю, Михайло сторінкою Center Stage створив один із найпопулярніших сегментів телемережі «Контакт».
Сьогодні ми розпочинаємо нову сторінку, в якій наш репортер Майкл Curry буде розказувати вам про новини культури, мистецтво, а також в цій сторінці будуть розваги і гумор. А зараз його перший репортаж.
The word entertainment covers a wide variety of topics. Here at the program Kontakt, we will not only be bringing you singing and dancing, but we will also endeavor to bring you the best in live theater, cinema, and the visual arts.
Почавши від самої першої передачі 1 жовтня 1994 року до останньої 12 березня цього року, своєю сердечною і безпосередньою особистістю Михайло Curry створив по цілій Канаді численну ланку прихильників і приятелів по обидвох боках телевізійного екрану, які сьогодні прилучилися до нас, щоб вшанувати його пам'ять.
Я сьогодні почула дуже сумну новинку, що Майкл Curry відійшов від нас. Це дуже-дуже шкода. Я дуже буду жалувати, що він не буде з нами. Michael was a wonderful interviewer, great jazz pianist. He was full of life. He was a diplomat and a very funny man. And good looking too. Я думаю, що він, може, 19 років був з контактом, і я дуже багато робила із ним через Канаду. He was a great volunteer for Ukrainian causes. We did a big concert for children of Chernobyl в Едмонтоні. Він грав піано там, і ми виступали разом.
We worked together on stage at one of the cabarets. And when you deliver primarily comedy, which I was attempting to do anyway, to find somebody who will be your partner on stage, to work with you and either be the recipient of humor or someone who helps set you up for humor, is extremely appreciated. And he was great that way. And as I say, you know, he had a wicked sense of humor himself that every once in a while he would unleash. It was great working with him on Kontakt, and it was great working with him on television. He was really the same person, the same kind person, just different talents that he had that he managed to exhibit. It was great.
Про Майкла там міг би багато говорити, бо я його перше пізнав ще в Києві, коли я вчився в Києві, він тоді приїжджав, тоді теж вчився, знаєте, в Києві. І тоді ми подружилися, знаєте, правда, подібно, він тоді, знаєте, жив в Канаді, а я в Австралії жив. А тоді, знаєте, кілька десятків разів зустрічалися тут у Канаді на різних концертах і мероприятиях. Знаєте, це людина-колега, який працював фактично в цій самій галузі, як я. До речі, навіть директор моєї школи зараз це був його директором перед тим. Так що ми мали гарні тісні зв'язки, знаєте, в галузі музичного мистецтва. І мали нагоду, знаєте, багато обговорювати відносно стану українського мистецтва, куди воно рухається, звідки воно прийшло.
He was one of the very few people who could work on a television show, produce, create, and write a segment, and then turn around, produce, write, create, and host a segment or interview a guest, and he had multi-talented in that way. I mean, the people at Kontakt and prior to that, were very fortunate to have him on their team. He was a tremendous asset, and he may have been a little nervous at first when he started doing television, but then he started adapting to it, and the camera liked him. And certainly the people really liked him.
Любов Михайла Curry до музики не обмежувалась до особистих виступів і телевізійних репортажів, але переходила в світ плекання і навчання музики. Михайло був великим прихильником українського фестивалю в Торонті і викладав музику в торонтонській шкільній системі.
Не всім відомим, що він вчив струни класи по школах. Його студенти дуже його любили. Він мав великий вплив над студентами. І він мав спеціальний, міг би пізнати, хто мав дійсно бути великим музикантом. Здібність бачив в дітях.
I remember going to the visitation at the funeral home and meeting one of the vice principals or principals from the school where Michael taught music. And she was telling the story of how when she told her students that Michael had passed away, how saddened they were to hear that he had left us, and how touched they were by his presence in the past. And that touched me. I thought, well, that's really quite fascinating, because it's not that easy to connect with so many different generations, from kids young age to adults. My parents used to watch him on television, and they quite liked him. I mean, it's such a great talent. It's very atypical of a lot of people on television.
There were presentations given by the children to whom he taught music, and specifically stringed instruments. And that was something he'd done for 25 years as an itinerant music teacher with the Toronto District School Board. And yeah, unfortunately, they weren't able to allow videotaping. I'm not entirely sure why, but the concerts went off fairly well. There was a number of students that also provided personal recollections of having been taught by Michael, and it was very nice to see some heartfelt speeches given by such young children whose lives he really seems to have impacted on a musical level. There were some very good performers, especially a couple of students at the Forest Hill performance. Absolutely excellent. I can tell that his work definitely will continue in the musical careers and endeavors of those to whom he spread his love of strings and other musical instruments.
Mr. Michael Curry was an absolute fantastic musician, a music educator, and a wonderful rep that covered a lot of these musical festivities throughout the years. And I have to say that through all the years that he came to any of our events, it was always with fantastic energy that he covered all our events, and it was always a pleasure to talk with him. And the interviews with him were always at a very high musical level, and that's no surprise because he was a fantastic musician, a wonderful music educator, and he will be sorely missed.
Як він підготовляв сегменти, то він дуже вміло підбирав цікаві моменти, де, власне, це любий сегмент він піднімав колектив на добрий щебель в мистецтві. Тобто він вмів вибрати цікавий епізод в танці, де би запам'яталося глядачу. Це теж дуже вміло він робив. І дуже тішився, коли, якщо в нього щось виходило, він завжди казав: я думаю, що ти будеш задоволений, подивишся. Так що він працював не тільки через те, що він мусив працювати, я думаю, що він працював ще крім того з задоволенням, бо він хотів, як кажуть, до кожного донести, що таке танець, що таке багатство танцю, як його треба вміти розуміти, як його вміти цінити. Тобто Михайло, він був дуже в широкому спектрі знавець своєї справи.
Майкл Curry з нами все спілкувався. Він дуже оцінював мистецьку нашу працю від українських молодіжних ансамблів, від хору «Оріон», «Левади» та наших юних барабанщиків. Він все споминав і після концертів до нас підходив і казав, що він був здивований, які таланти наші
оркестранти, хористи мають, які були тут уроджені у Канаді. І також ті, що долучилися нас і ще з України. І він все споминами нас гадав, і він все казав, що ту працю, що ми робимо, то є дуже важлива для української громади тут в діаспорі.
Майкл Curry дуже Україну любив. Він з маленькості не вмів говорити по-українському, але старався вивчити мову, все старався. І часто він їхав на Україну. Він мав якраз виїжджати на другий місяць при кінці місяці. Все вернувся до Луцьку, де він спілкувався з учнями Волинь групі.
Особливе значення для Майкл Curry мало все, що пов'язане з Україною. І тепер передаємо привіт і спомини від керівника улюбленого Майколом ансамблю «Волинь». Говорить пан Стадник із Луцька, з України.
Волинський народний хор і весь колектив ансамблю «Волинь». І я особисто глибоко сумуємо з приводу такої передчасної і несподіваної смерті Майкла Керрі, нашого великого шанувальника, нашого хорошого друга. Шоком була для нас ця звістка. Пішов в життя прекрасний музикант, великий професіонал своєї справи, вірний друг і прекрасний товариш. На жаль, так стається, що Господь, мабуть, забирає краще в першу чергу. Так сталося, що доля нас звела з Майклом під час нашої гастролі в Канаді. І коли було нам досить важко, його підтримка, його допомога, яку ми відчували з першого до останнього концерту, дуже нам допомогла. Він дійсно був для нас якимось дуже таким хорошим талісманом на тих гастролях. І наша дружба продовжилася після того. Майже кожен рік Майк приїжджав сюди до нас. Ми не один Новий рік зустріли тут. Він був почесним гостем на 30-річчі нашого колективу. І в нас якось так склалося, що була якась така незрима жива ниточка, яка нас пов'язувала з Канадою, із жителями Канади, з українцями Канади. На жаль, вона обірвалася. Дуже сумно і дуже боляче. Ми ще раз хочемо висловити співчуття всім близьким і всім рідним Майкла. Нехай буде йому царство небесне. Вічна пам'ять. Ми завжди будемо пам'ятати про тебе, дорогий друже.
Дуже важливим для Михайла Curry були людяні особисті відносини. І тут основну роль встановлюють родинні стосунки.
During the holiday season, we always look forward to seeing, our Uncle Mike, and he'd always regale us with these fabulous tales of the East, which of course is Ukraine. And we found it very nice thing for him to do, because as fourth generation Ukrainian Canadians, we'd really have somewhat of a disconnect between ourselves and the homeland, and without people such as him in our lives, providing us with insight into the culture and music and various other aspects of the civilization there, we really would have been a lot more disconnected from the community. And I felt that that was something that he really positively contributed to our family and into our lives.
Every time around the holidays, we would have a family thing at the house, and we would get food from a local Ukrainian restaurant here. And I would go with him to go and pick up the food to bring it back. And something that I really admired was the connection that he had with the staff there, with the people on the street. Just the walk from the vehicle to the restaurant, people would recognize him and say a good job that he's doing, that they enjoy his segments. And even when we would go down to get the food, they would just be extremely happy that he was there. And it meant a lot that he'd bring me along with him, because it would be experiences that I wouldn't have as I'm not in touch with the community as he is. So that's one thing that I always would be fond of when it came to Christmas time or Easter, going with him to get the Ukrainian food, and just interactions that he would have with local people on the street, and the admiration that they would have for him and the work that he does with the community.
He was level-minded. He was very conscientious of the audience, and very conscientious of the people with whom he worked. And he didn't make a lot of enemies over the years, and there's a reason for that. And he had a lot of people who had a tremendous amount of respect for him, younger people and older people. He was always very pleasant to be around, and he'll be greatly missed. It was a great talent. He was taken much too early, and it's a real shame. It's a sad shame.
I've known him for many years, and I was honored to call him a friend, and it was a terrible loss to the community, and he's going to be sorely missed.
He made our world a better place, and Michael will be sadly missed by the entire Ukrainian and Canadian Громада. He was a great Canadian, he was a great Ukrainian, and вічна йому пам'ять.
До речі, знаєте, так 2 тижні до того, як він упокоївся, то він у мене в хаті був, ми там мали нагоду так трошки поспілкуватися, трошки жартував він, що він трошки схуд чуть-чуть, знаєте, так, як сказав, що він трошки блідо виглядає, але нічого не сказав, ніколи не нарікав нічого зовсім. І таке, знаєте, як би сказати, знаєте, завершив за собою відповідний вклад. Це був чоловік позитивний, який робив. Стільки, знаєте, як би сказати, не тяжко в нашій громаді щось робити, а він такий, що закачував рукави і робив. Такий я буду пам'ятати Майкла.
На кінець хочу сказати, що часто про відомих людей говоримо про їхні людські прикмети, про їхню професійність, про відданість, про цілісність особистості. Михайло, очевидно, було це все, але він вийшов на ще вищий щабель, на щабель людяності. Михайло завжди витворював таку ласкаву атмосферу, що кожному було приємно з ним бути. З Михайлом завжди було весело, де б то не було, в його присутності було приємно і добре бути. Це його найбільший для нас дар. Михайло в нас незамінимий. Вічна йому пам'ять.